Good evening and welcome to Left Monkey Music Show. Today I'm Zinny Zan. Zinny is known for the old rockers, Shotgun Messiah, and even further back, Easy Action, and it's in the movie, that well-acted movie.
Oh, you're talking to blood tracks now, aren't we?
I'm going to tell you what, though. I love the clips I've seen online are hilarious. I love a good movie back like that, though. It's so funny. And in fact, you don't know.
I'd say Cara thinks the same thing. Cara thinks the exact same thing.
I love it. And the older I get, I realized, I remember when I was younger, I'm in my 50s now, my grandpa used to watch these movies. I'm like, why is he watching all these older movies?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't get it. And now I'm like, now that I'm older, I'm like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
I get it. I become, I catch the appreciation with the times have changed. I get the innocence, the beginning of creativity. So people that don't know that there's a funny, I guess considered a horror film, not so scary.
It was supposed to be a horror film in theory. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though.
It became like a hilarious joke instead. It's something next to Spinal Tap, but in another way.
I still think it's more scary than Kiss Meets Phantom of the Opera. I'll tell you that, though. Spanking's better than that one, though. So I'll go on the record with that. So anyway, you obviously are a great singer, career musician, and you've done Zan Clan. You're always doing music. You had some new music over the past couple of years you're doing, and I believe you're working on new music right now, right?
I'm working on new music right now.
So let's start at the beginning, like now. Let's talk about now what's going on with you musically for fans.
Yeah, right now I released an album back in 2022, Zinny Zan, Lullabies for the Masses. And went fairly okay. You know, it's hard to get out there sometimes these days. And so right now I'm working with some new stuff. It's a solo album. So Zinny Zan, the first thing that I tried to do with Stefan Bergström, who was the guitar player, was to make it a real band thing. And now I'm going back to be the solo thing, more or less. There will be musicians that we probably know about on the album, but I'm working by myself, throwing ideas back and forth on people I worked with before, in bands before, and so on and so forth, without mentioning any names right now. But it's going well. It's going good. I have some 14, 15 songs. I think 9 or 10 will end up on the album. So, you see which baby you have to kill, unfortunately. But well, because they become your babies. They do. You work with them, and but at the end of the day, you have to think commercially as well. And with that being said, I mean, you can't have all the songs in the same tempo or in the same in A or E or whatever, and so on and so forth. So you have to have some kind of variety in a red thread throughout the album, so to speak. So that's what I'm working with right now, and see where they're going.
I think one of the things you have an availability though nowadays on, instead of killing the songs, is holding on to them, and then if you've already recorded them, you could put them on you could just stream them on your website or a page for fans. I mean, if you're an artist and you're creating, commerciality, is your sole thing, you're in a sad life of musician. You're a musician because you have to get out of your body. You have to write it. You don't become a musician just because.
You're absolutely right there. And the good part about it is Japan, because Japan, every time you release an album, the Japanese market always says at least 1 or 2 songs that are not appearing on the European or the American market. So there's always room for that, which is very good. And but that's the way it is. And then you have this catalog of things, and some of the songs might be fantastic, and they might end up on the next album or whatever. So they're there, and some you work with, and you feel like, I get stuck here, and I am that person. Right or wrong, I don't know. But if it doesn't work like this for me, then I put it there for a while. I look at it again. If it doesn't work for me then as well, then I leave it there, because then I feel it wasn't meant to be. Maybe later I can go back 3 years later, and maybe then I see something. But if I don't see it quite fast, then I think there's something wrong with it. Then I go with something else.
I like that. I think there's a lot of artists that are like that. I mean, one of the great things I think in hindsight for newer, younger artists can learn from someone like you and a lot of artists is, if you're writing and you're hot, you're just writing, and you have extra songs, you stop. Don't stop. Get them aside. Because you might not be writing like that in 2 years. You might not be. If you're putting out music, write it down. Get the ideas down. Because artists will hit dry spots. I mean, it happens. Or you might be more inspired by something. Or you know what I'm saying? You never know.
Yeah, no, true.
And the thing I want to celebrate in this channel, I like to celebrate is an artist like you it's live music. It's a live voice. Now it's going to be the battle of AI songwriting. AI is no longer going to be like, I was influenced by Led Zeppelin, so I've got a little bend. And Led Zeppelin's like, I was influenced by the blues, because they were obviously a big piece of the blues. Really, as we all know that.
We go back on a few of those songs that
oh god, yeah,
page written, they were written by someone else. So since I've been loving you and all those things, it's all blues stuff. It is a lot of it. So
but that's taking the inspiration. Sometimes it runs off more on us, and sometimes that's just who we are, whether it's on purpose or not. But now, if you do AI, if you're like writing the style of, you can be like, oh my god, this is too weird. You know what I mean? It's gonna miss something. It's not gonna have the soul in it. I want my singers to make mistakes. I want my guitar players. You do it once, it's a mistake. You do it twice, there's a purpose.
Yeah, thank you. No, I absolutely agree with you. And we were into that a little earlier before we went on air, talking about what's sincere, and if you're real and with your things and how you feel about things. Yeah. I've been the same way. Some years back, to 2016, after done a shotgun reunion, not shotgun, shotgun reunion that we did at some European festivals and stuff like that. And I was about to go and sit and do an album. And I was sitting there with my guitar doing some riffs, and I know that's been done. That's been done. Oh, this is a good riff. Oh, that was a rat. Okay, sorry. And I felt like, no, it's just ain't there. And a musician as I am, I always write music. I ended up with 3 albums in Swedish, because I never sang in my native tongue language. And
really?
And then never did. And then I thought, like, okay, I have so much other music I can do, but since before anyways, my English music was a lot based on guitar riffs.
Right.
So the Swedish thing is songs, no guitar riffs whatsoever. I remember that riff. But but it became 1 album, became 3 albums. After 3 albums, I sat down and I thought, like, now I can make a hard rock album again. Because
that's fantastic.
I get that out, and it just wasn't there for me. I just wasn't ready for it. And if you're not ready for it, don't try it. I want to feel it here and go like, God, I love this. This is good. This is fun. Well, and if I don't feel that, I can't write. I can't really write.
It makes me think. A question just when you say that is, so if you've never sang in it, obviously it's your native language. And I always think it's really interesting when a band can sing in English, when it's the weirdest language to learn, because it makes no sense. I could never learn English files from another country because it makes no sense to me. The way the letters and the hards, letters and the C, you know what I'm saying? And you're laughing because it's true. Now, and then you sing it, and I don't know if it's easier. And you could, this is a couple questions. Is it easier to sing English than another language because the way it's built, or is it harder? And was it when you sing your native language, because the way the words are phrased and how you think it in songwriting, was it more challenging to make it work? So it's like 2 or 3 questions there. Sorry.
But it's very good and relevant questions, I would say. Absolutely. I think they're very good questions. I found myself when I was sitting there and going, all right, now I start writing in Swedish. Okay. It was a lot harder. The reason for that, English is a very, for a Swede anyway, of course, it depends on where you come from, but Swedish language is kind of a little harder. English is more musical. And you heard it all your life. So Swedish is harder to sing and make it. And I had, weirdly enough, had to say, who am I singing Swedish? And I'm a Swede. And I go like, so I sing, if you hear any of those, it doesn't sound like Zinny J. Zan. No way. It just doesn't. And that was how I came out with the Swedish music. Is it harder? Absolutely. Honestly, in English, it's a lot of shit you can get away with in English.
Yes.
babe and stuff like that. If you would say that in Swedish, babies, it would be absolutely, Kara, you know some Swedish, it would be absolutely ridiculous to go like, "What, get off stage, for God's sake, what are you doing?" But you can do that in English, you know.
Yes.
Babe and all this stuff. You can't do that in Swedish. It's absolutely impossible. So, but what I learned and took with me for this album is that everything, and it was actually my daughter when I did my first Swedish album. My daughter's 25 now. She was about 20, something like that then. And she listened to it and said, "Dad, this is so different. But do you feel comfortable?" And I said, "Yeah, why wouldn't I feel comfortable?" "Well, because you're putting all your life in there and your feelings." Because all of a sudden, because I was singing in my native language and my native tongue,
Oh, yeah.
It became very, very much
personal.
Yes, very, very personal. And that I praise that now, because now when I'm writing, well, you heard my stuff, earlier stuff, and I'm referring to Kara, my girlfriend, and she heard the lyrics I'm writing today. It's way different. Mm-hmm. And it's more closer to really, really who I am. So I praise that, and I took that with me. But yes, it's harder in Swedish. Absolutely weird. And I have to found myself. Next thing was, since I used to play hard rock all the time with Shaka Messiah, Easy Action, Zan Clan, mentioned, and so on. This is more like rock, just regular rock music, some kind of. And all of a sudden I was like, how am I going to be on stage? Because it was a totally different thing. Usually I come out there with my microphone stand and, swirl it here and there and do this, all that. All of a sudden,
some swagger.
Who am I now? And that was so weird. The first two shows never felt so awkward in my life. And I go like, God, I'm really an amateur. I've been doing this for 30 plus years. I'm 60 now. And I was like, I'm such an amateur, because the two first gigs I did with this Stogman, it was called.
Yeah.
It was so hard. But it was good. It was a learning lesson, because, you were new again with things. And I love that. And that was nice.
Well, I think that's very exciting as an artist to keep being nervous a little bit, being anxious, being risky, because
one of my favorite,
when you started?
One of my favorite rock stars said that one time, and a person that I admire very much, and that was David Bowie. And he said that if it's like swimming, if you still can feel the bottom there, you're not deep enough. You should be out somewhere where it feels a little uncomfortable. That's when things start happening. That's when something good is going to come out of it, because you're fighting for your life for it. And I love that. I love that. Stick out a little bit. Go somewhere where you haven't been before.
He's the one, because he's changed his style so many times and tried.
Did he ever?
But he would try changing his songwriting, write lyrics and cut them up and mix them all up and then see what you can form. Like, it was an art project. Like, it was one of his ways. Like, there's so many ways, and that's why songwriters. He's a songwriter, like the Beatles are with being the bands, like the early phrasing in the of the songs. You're like, that's really smart. It's easy sounding when you sing it, but when you play it and you learn it, you're like, oh, how did they figure that out? Like, it sounds easy, not easy.
Thank you.
Totally different.
You're so right. You're so right.
And so as being American, I know Americans always, I want to be not ignorant, but like, there's so many other beautiful languages, and some languages can be just technically harder to say or to speak. Like, I think that's why I asked about singing songs are harder, because like, I do think English can lend to a lot better slang. And I know that, being American, but like, I think sometimes I know like a language like German is more of a harder language, and it's harder for phrasing. It's harder to be more of a balladier or something, you know what I'm saying? And it's not a dig towards them. It's just the vernacular of certain languages. I know like Italian feels like it's got a lot of extra vowels in it. If you're writing a song of a normal pop song, there's more challenges to it. That's why the songs have more of like a sing-songy version to do it, because it's so much more to it.
But you're absolutely right. As you said, German is a very hard language. And it's hard when you hear that, the same with Rammstein. I understand why the music sounds the way it is, because it fits very good with the lyrics.
Yeah.
And how it sounds. So it goes hand in hand, so to speak.
Totally. But I couldn't imagine those same words acoustically. Now, because that is the test of a songwriter. If we did any of your songs, go back from Zan Clan, go back to Easy Action or Shotgun, you get an acoustic guitar, you could probably come up with an acoustic version.
I'm not going to hear an acoustic version of Du Hast anytime soon, probably.
No.
I mean, somebody might do it now to spite me, but generally,
I don't care about nothing acoustic.
Right.
Yes, and it works.
That's what I'm saying. If you can translate certain songs, it's going to be harder to translate.
But I think songs. I think one good thing coming out of that, and that I had with two guitar players that I played with, which were I'm happy to have played with, it is Key Marcello and Harry K. Cody.
Mm-hmm.
And we all, the three of us, I'm not a very good guitarist at all, but I write my music on guitars, of course. And I'm, you know, I'm an okay rhythm guitarist. That's about it. But we all three of us thought that if you can't take up an acoustic and play that song, it's not worth it, because then it's some kind of lack of melody or something like that. Of course, some riffs will not sound good or anything, but the melody and the song, if you can't do it on acoustic, well, don't use it.
It's a challenge
by that,
you know. But if it's a good song, usually you can translate it. I actually had Key on my show early on in the beginning.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I missed that one.
It's early on. Yeah.
Okay.
It was definitely an early day. It was to get our schedules like a different time level for both of us to get it to work. But I enjoy his playing it, and obviously goes back to the same band. You know, those are talking full circle. I enjoyed you in that band. So I mean, I've enjoyed you through the different bands in your career. So that I enjoyed you guys working together. You had a good sound together.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Do you guys talk ever still? Are you guys still?
Me and Key? Yeah. Nowadays, maybe once a year. Before that, we spoke every month. Me and Harry speak every month.
Yeah.
Me and Key used to. Now, not so much anymore, but once a year at least. You know, no hard feelings or anything. We're friends.
Yeah.
And it's all good. And Harry and I speak quite a lot. And same with Styx, the drummer from Chaka Messiah. Same with Pontus Norgren, the guitar player from Zan Clan. I haven't seen him for a while now, but we talk every now and then. He's out there playing with Hammerfall a lot, of course.
Oh, really? Yeah. They're a good band.
Yeah, but most of the musicians I played with, I have stayed very, very close and good friends with. Yes. It's a long relationship, you know, so.
Well, I love when I hear about it. I'm not talking about like a reunion either, because I'm always digging for that. Sometimes mom and dad can get divorced and be friends. They don't have to get back together again. You know, and I say that a lot to you know, because it's true. But I still love the fact that you guys created something X amount of years ago, you or anybody, and you're like, yeah, that was great. That was fun. It wasn't the same mature version of me now, but man, that was the start of who we are now. And to still have a relationship with somebody.
Thank you. I've seen that with Chaka Messiah, especially maybe some with Key Marcello, of course, since he did Europe later on and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
But with Chaka Messiah, we spoke about, me and Harry speak quite a lot, and we said the same thing. You know, we are who we are today because we did what we did back then. And I seen even Tim I don't talk to so much, or not at all, but he even said it when he was playing with Marilyn Manson, that those were the good years, because everything was like, we starting from somewhere, coming from Sweden, going to the US. That whole thing was such a trip for us. And all of a sudden we're there, and that's what we said when we were in Sweden. We want to be there competing with the other bands, you know, competing and with friends, of course, but we want to be there on the same level as the other ones. And all of a sudden we were there touring with people, and it was Skid Row, Poison, it was us, and it was Rat, and all these people. And we were in the middle of it, and it was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And that is such a good thing. And you always remember that. Me and Harry had that thing for a year back. They did it in the Sweden Rock magazine here. They want to do the whole story of Chaka Messiah. So they asked me and Harry to have two different perspectives of it.
Yeah.
And then we spoke, and we said, like, oh, the shit we did. You know, it was good. You know, for being Swedes up there in the north, having a good time. So
I think
good memories.
It's good. And I can say, like, with Chaka Messiah is interesting. I think besides just like the popular stuff like that, the reunion thing, but I'm like, as a band coming over, you guys came in at an interesting time where you got popular, cool, niche, maybe you guys can become multi-platinum, but you guys got a lot of respect right out of the gate in the music world, at least from as a fan. Now, I was going to school for recording around that time, and I was interning for a record label for Relativity, In Effect, and Combat Records. Obviously, that name's familiar with you.
Yes.
So, like, when I first came in to start my internship, I got a stack of music. You know, I got Scatterbrain, Steve I. I got Chaka Messiah. They're like, here's some of our samplers. So, like, who is this? Like, So that was my introduction to you guys.
All right.
Sample. I don't even know if the album was out yet, because it was the beginning of the promo session.
Yeah. So it was Christian Pilateri as well, and yeah. Well,
those were the early days of all these bands and all these them taking on the promotion. It was very exciting.
Yeah. And Joe Satriani, of course.
Of Satriani, of course, that was around. Yeah.
That was a good bunch. That was a good bunch there. We had a lot of fun. And Steve Vai and Satriani, you know, when you come down to Relative Records on Friday or something like that, we actually went into the warehouse, sitting there playing for the guys, packing up the records and stuff like that. Amazing time, you know. So it was fun.
You know, it's just funny because that was probably New York, right? I was in Atlanta going to college, and so we had a small office there. And Steve Vai came down, and it was a small office, and they ordered like beer and pizza and whatever, and there was nowhere to sit. So like all the bigwigs sat at desks and stuff, and Steve Vai came and sat with all of his interns on the floor and hung out. Like he didn't schmooze. You know, he's a big guy too.
Yes.
And I don't know if anybody who's ever met him, and you probably knows, he puts out an energy that's different than most people. Like he vibrates.
You know
what I'm talking about?
Yeah, he's a special guy. Yes, absolutely.
He is not.
In every way.
He's not just an ordinary guy. So, but that was a fun part of being in Relativity, because I mean, you don't know who. We had other artists come down, and they would just sit down. It was a great group of people, a great bunch of crowded musicians. It was fun.
It's so nice to hear that from you as well, because that's really what it was. Saying that with Stu Ham, the bass player.
Oh, I loved him.
Fantastic guy as well, and he just came down there as well. He brought the beers. Yeah. Everyone at Relativity weren't that happy about that, coming down to the warehouse, getting the guys drunk on a Friday. But that's the guy they were. Everyone. It's same Joe Satriani. As I remember, Harry K. Cody had got a Mesa Boogie stack, Boogie, and there was back then. He worked that one for a week and a half. Couldn't get a good sound. It sounded like barbed wire all the time. And then we spoke to Relativity and said that, well, we don't know about this Mesa Boogie. You know, it doesn't really work. And then, well, Joe loves it. Joe came up 2 days. He was sitting at our home. 2 days. He was sitting with Harry, getting the sound there. That's the kind of guy Joe Satriani was. You know?
I think he is. I think he's still that guy. I think he's too busy to be that guy. But even then, once again, it's a kind of person. I mean, Steve, like all these guys that's who they are. That's who you are right now talking to me. I mean, everyone stayed the same, whether you know, it's not about money. It's about everyone's still the same person, pretty much. If you could probably put everybody in the same room again, and you guys would all laugh it up, and there's no egos.
Yeah. And
you're not going to find that from every label from back then.
No, absolutely not. That's why I loved Relativity so much. It was a good family. Same with Cultreri, who was, you know, the man there when he married. Both Satriani and Steve Vai, when they played together on his wedding thing. It's also like, wow, this is once in a yeah. You never go. This is something that you never will see again. Fantastic, really nice. That was a good label, a very good label.
It was short lived. It was a special experience. Every now and I bump into people from the show, and they're like, "Oh, I work for Relativity." You could have a good laugh and talk about like that's like a special bond almost, because like to have been there at that moment, and even as an intern to get the overflow, that it was. You didn't get put down or anything. You were just almost like part of the group. You know what I mean? In all the events, it was a very big family, is what it was.
Yeah, it was. It really was.
And but to the point of that is, so when you guys came in, they really helped. They had a good spot in the market. Kind of like everyone's like I had eyes on Relativity. So all the acts, at least, were getting a glance, which gave you guys at least a fair shot over, you know, all the other bands coming in the magazines that are established in America, you know? So I think you guys got a good shot. And I think you guys also got credit, at least the groups I knew, a lot of the heavier, thrashier bands I knew and fans were like, you guys got the cool pass. There was something about you guys.
We did. I'm very thankful for that. I don't know what they saw in us, but
no, but I was going to ask you about that.
I'm very happy about it
because you were kind of
like, well, you're not. I'm not going to mention other bands, but you're not like that bad. You're not that bad. You're a lot harder. You guys are cool. So we were always, and we were okay with. It's the same thing. But we should also remember that back then, Relativity Records was also very early working with rap music as well.
Yeah, they were.
So these guys. they loved us as well. We had a great time with them as well. So I don't know what it was that we had. Maybe because we were Swedes and came from somewhere else. I don't know. But people always took us in. They were always, everyone was always very cool with us.
That's that was gonna be my question. Like, do you feel the same thing, or was it just me isolated that there was like a, in Atlanta it was a cool thing with the metalheads. They also loved you guys in the heavier bands.
Oh yeah.
So you felt it too.
Oh yeah, we felt it too. We absolutely. We have a lot of those metal bands that really came and said, "Oh, we love you, you guys." I think maybe it was because we had an attitude in the music, the way Harry plays guitar, the way Tim thumping bass and everything, the way I was singing. We were a little on the we were a little edgy and so on. And those metal bands, they loved that, and they came up to us and we spoke, and we're really happy about it. And we went away with it, so to speak. But a lot of people liked us for some reason, and that's good. We were happy about it.
I think it was perfect that you did it, and I think as things changed, the band evolved. It worked out well for everybody, and I think you going on to do your thing is different because I appreciate your music differently, So you going on doing your stuff, I think is better, personally, because I like you as a rocker, and I haven't heard any of the stuff. You're the soul bands. I just haven't heard your Swedish stuff, so I dig that about you. I dig that about your voice. That's kind of who you are. So so to me, I appreciate that. And with a lot of rock bands are getting credited again now because I think from that genre. So it gives you a chance to come back, because I think it's like the economics of a lot of us. Our kids are out of college or whatever, and we can afford to go on cruises and boats and stuff. So they can afford to enjoy the music. I bring my 20-year-old daughter, 20-year-old kids, you know what I mean, to rock concerts, to see Rat, to see these rocking bands.
Yes.
And I love that those bands are still making original music. You're still doing music, because it's not about nostalgia. It's just being a band. You're an artist for your whole life. A to B. So an act like you, who's very versatile. Now you're at a point in your life where I would assume, depending on what market you're in the world, you can go out and you could do some easy action songs. You could do some shotgun songs. You could do some solo stuff. Yes. And you could craft it to your market, because you have different fan base, and you can kind of start to mix your music together and maybe help, bring more people into different types of your music. And you're not locked into a sound anymore.
No, I'm not. That's true. That's very true. And for a while I would say, you became a little happy cat with the things, and you got, well, I'll stick with this. This is good. And it was no problem with that, anything like that. But I think that after the Zan Clan thing, because I know a lot of people wrote us after the Zan Clan thing that we did. They're like, oh, this is so much like Shaka Messiah. This is what Shaka Messiah should have sounded. And I go, no, Shaka Messiah sounded exactly what they should have sounded on the second, third album when I was not there. But but if you would have stayed, it would have sounded like that. No, because it's Harry and Tim playing on this thing. It's Chris Laney and Pontus Norgren. Right. But I understood that they heard my thing when I was going with it. But after that, I thought like, okay, I've done this now. I love the music, and I love those albums, both Shaka Messiah and the Zan Clan. But you know, sometimes you see like, well, what's next now? What can you take a good shoe and bite on and see, where do I go with this? And that's what we did as well. I know there's a lot of people were, lifting their eyebrows when we came out with Lullabies for the Masses, and we did. It's no good, a Depeche Mode song. Yeah, was like, well, those was a synth band from England, for God's sake. And I said, yeah, it was a freaking good song.
So people are still questioning nowadays, the past couple of years.
Yeah. They were so surprised. So for this album, I have another one that they're going to be pissed even more about.
How?
I will not say what it is, but it's very, very different. Yeah.
But to be a fan of a band, I mean, I guess if you're saying I'm a fan of you as long as you do what I fell in love with you to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like falling in love with somebody. You're like, well, you're different now. Well, that's the difference in a relationship when you grow or you don't grow.
Thank you.
If you both grow in a relationship, I love a bunch of different songs from different albums and different phases of the band. Yeah. I mean, didn't we learn a lesson from Zeppelin doing heavy to acoustic to heavy to acoustic? Didn't I just say, all right, guys, everybody can do something different? You know what I mean?
And again, I feel nothing better than going out on the stage or with a new album and say to people, well, here's a little challenge for you. You know, because I want to challenge, just like I challenge myself. I want to challenge the supporters. I love to call them supporters.
Right.
And you know, we're on a journey together. Someone might lose on the way, just like you lose friends on the way sometimes in life. You do. But hey, you know, this is a journey, the path that I want. And a lot of people, I was surprised when the Swedish thing was. That's so, because I thought the record company just looked at me and said, "Are you out of your mind? Are you going to do this singing? Do you know what you're doing to your own career?" And I said, this is what I need to do. You know, I get nothing out of this. I love this. This is way different. I know it, but I have to do it. It's me as an artist. And I said, okay, if you're fine with it, you're not helping us out here. And I said, well, do your job. And they did. But it's I love to see that. And so many people came up and said, I never thought that would go that way. And some other people said, I never thought I would listen to that kind of music in Swedish, you know, Swedes, of course. But they did. And then you go like, good, you broke some more ground. And that's what it's all about, you know, challenging and having a great time.
I think that's really important that you did that, because you did something, and it may have been harder for you and for a lot of people when the rock thing failed and changed. It didn't really fail. It was basically disco switched to this, to the rock, to this. Every 10, 12 years, it switched up. There's a pattern. Easier to look back now in hindsight, but it was happening musically already every 10 years.
Yeah.
But that being said, the recovery of it, because all you guys at your ages in the bands, just hitting the bands, the promotion, the recording, the contracts, it was kind of your rock and roll college. It was kind of college for you guys to learn. And all of a sudden, when everything, the bottom went out, a lot of you guys were still just getting out of college, rock and roll college. You're like, what are we going to do for a job now? Because the job I went to school for isn't here anymore. I just trained for this. So I've been doing.
Yeah.
I know that because I was actually going to college at that time for recording and video. And then Mac came out with home studio stuff. So everything I went to school for, I also had it at the time. I was like, what the heck? So
it's funny you say that, because I was talking to my woman here, Kara, about it, because she used to be a DJ many years. And you know, she loved the 80s just like I did, and grew up at a certain time. But you know, while the 90s for me was death, you know, no one wanted to listen to fucking Zinny Zan. Why would they? They had Alice in Chains, Nirvana, Chris Cornell, and you know, Stone Temple Pilots, all of these guys. You know, I thought like, okay, where am I going to fit in here? It took me some years to figure out what am I going to want to do. Well, Kara saw the whole thing, working in the music business and as a DJ in the radio. She saw that, well, here's a new train. Here's something fresh, because, you know, whether you love it or not, the train I was in and on had gone for a while, and it became, you know, overlived itself a little bit, just like back in the days with Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, and Pink Floyd and all that. All of a sudden, they came with the Ramones, the Sex Pistols, the Clash, or whatever the names were, Dead Kennedys, and so on. And that was needed. And I say, people say, well, the grunge killed your career. No, it really didn't. It helped rock in another way, in another position, and before it became more pathetic, because it you know, things.
I think like the 8th version of a band trying to be Aerosmith, the copy of a copy. They're not even copying Aerosmith anymore. They're copying the 4th version of that. That's what killed it. Because everyone came in the room. Because what was Alice in Chains? I'll tell you what they were. Black Sabbath, Soundgarden, Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
You know, and all those in Pearl Jam and Nirvana, those cornerstone of all those bigger bands that also put their mark, just like those other ones, are still there forever. But they're all different, and they weren't trying to be anybody different. A lot of the other bands after that, though, what I couldn't get into was none of them were establishing themselves with albums and careers. It was a single. It was Automatic went to the Hot Topic uniforms. It didn't evolve to a rock and roll outfit and lifestyle. It kind of became more of a copy of something.
Yes.
So it wasn't as sincere. It was still a generational thing. So I get that. And so there's an age difference. But the challenge of an artist was you guys had to either reinvent yourself, which sometimes came across insincere if you're trying to stay in that thing, or some songwriters are like, I like this. I'm a songwriter, and this is what's going on. I'm going to try this now. I respected that. And some artists did a good job. You know, so there was no right or wrong way. But when I see an artist that was working then and still, and then later on doing stuff like you now, it's much respect because you took the hits in the chin like a boxer.
Yeah.
You know, you come back. You know, you're as good as boxers as good as their last fight to some people, or some of us look at the record and the history. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
The radio looks at your last fight. The fans look at your history.
Yes. True. True that.
You know, so at this point, this is a lot of artists that were in you know, even from the 60s, 60s, 70s, 80s, early 90s that were establishing themselves. This is like your victory lap that goes on until you don't want to do it anymore. You've proved in yourself. You've got the matches in your belt.
Yes.
If you want to do Tom Jones, if you want to do easy music, Zinny can do it. Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you've earned yourself.
It's a lot of things that you know, let's say, and not being, and absolutely not sloppy or anything like that. But what I like about being here right now where I am is that I enjoy it in another way. I absolutely enjoyed it when I was young, and when I was in the 2025 and so on. But it was also a life and death thing for you. You know, it was your career. It was this and this and that. Today, I can be more relaxed about it and laugh about it and go like, well, I'll do this. I can be more bold. I wasn't then, because this is what we're doing. This is what I was the first one to say with the Shotgun Messiah first album. I said, no ballads. And I heard so many times for the record company and some people from the band.
That maybe, you know what?
We should have had a ballad because we would have been a lot bigger. And I go like, well, blame it on me because I was the one. And I was. And it was only me in the band that said no ballads. And it was probably a dumbest move, it was the dumbest thing I ever said. You see, Skid Row had 18 in Life, I Remember You, Poison, Every Rose Has Its Thorn. All those rock bands had that ballad and they became huge. And Shotgun Messiah, we became that cult band that was cool, and we didn't know ballads, but we weren't that big either.
Okay, so it wasn't playing, but here's the thing. If you look at the time ballad of those other ballads, when you did your album, they already had those ballads out. And shortly after those bands, both of those bands had one or two good albums out. Skid Row did their best album, which was Slave, right? Which was heavy. And they toured with Pantera.
Was heavy.
Okay. And the Poison did that. But at that point, we were already at the end of ballads. And I think that may have been why you guys had cool credit. A lot of the thrasher bands, you guys were just doing, you guys were kind of a punkier band with no ballads. The hairspray and the cleaned up production may have been more rock or glamier, but the attitude and the lack of ballads resonated maybe more with the hard rockers.
Oh yeah, and that's what we loved with Shotgun Messiah, because we came
from that's why you remember probably differently, because it didn't matter what happened to Poison or Skid Row after that. When the market went out, Sebastian was gone. Some Human Race did not get the same things. You know what I'm saying? Not to call it the quality of the album and the songs. Nobody looked at it. It didn't matter. So I think, if the rock market went on another 5 years, a ballad would have helped you guys. The timing, though, no difference. I think it actually you stepped on like at the perfect time to go. We're out, or at least for that album.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. You're right. Absolutely, it was timing, and I heard that as well. People said, okay, when you left Shotgun Messiah, it went downhill, and I go, no, it was the music industry. It wasn't me. You know, they did perfectly fine without me. Perfectly fine. They did two fantastic albums without me, and it had to do with grunge. It had nothing to do with me whatsoever. We were a great band when we were together. They were a great band when I was not there, and I did my other stuff. So it had to do with the music business and the grunge. That was what killed it all for them, you know, lately.
You know, that's interesting, because I think they carried on and had that band has 3 cool albums that all sound differently. And I don't know if a lot of artists that could have done that. I mean, we're not talking like mansions and gold records, but think of a band back then that allowed us to transcend from almost 3 different sounds.
It is 3 different sounds.
And you look back at it, and everyone goes, that was a cool album. That was a cool album. Like, no one craps on it. Like, I mean, some people, you know what I'm saying, though, but like, they have like respect in each of those genres, which is really weird.
I would say, and again, Tim and Harry there, bold musicians did bold decisions, and the great decisions as they were. They did their thing, and just like I said, all these 3 albums absolutely way different. No one has anything in common with the other one, and they did that, and that's cool. I liked it.
But I think so. I don't want to take up all your time. I mean, I want to revisit this when you get the album out. I want you to come back on and we'll talk some more. If you want, I do want to say,
I'm glad to.
right now though, for people to check you out, do you have any live stuff coming up or like any dates coming up? And when is the sequel to that movie coming out? Also, I want to know.
Well,
you're working on that too, right? Script.
Well,
you guys are still fighting over the script.
I'm getting second thoughts now because Karen and I've been together for a year, and she saw that movie. She go like, "I love that movie," and I'm like, "Oh, come on now." And
if she's still with you after that movie, she's the keeper.
Don't I know it? Thank you. Well, can you show yourself to the world?
Hello, hello world.
She absolutely is a keeper.
that is she's a keeper.
Yeah, to be together with one of the guys from that film, that movie. Oh my God, that's
people look up the movie. You'll have a good laugh. It's a fun. It's lighthearted. It's fun. It's not. It's just fun.
It is. That's what it is. It's the way it should be, and that's the way we want to live as well. And yeah, like I said, I'm in my 60s for God's sake, and
wait, your bio here says 35.
I have a great time, and we laugh. We sit at home at the house. I'm writing music. She's coming in somewhere. Like, what are you singing there? That's not correct English. That's good. I have her now. Kara goes like, you can't really say that. Well, you could, but no one would. Maybe you. And it's really good. It's great time, fun. We're having a great time doing it, and I hope that we could see the light of day sometime May next year.
Okay.
For the Soul album, I do have another project as well, which I'm extremely excited about, but I can't tell too much.
No, but let me know when you know me. I will announce it on my page.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it when it's ready.
Absolutely will. And so working on the songs right now is going real well, feeling good, having a great time, and it's a good life.
It's your victory lap. This is the last. Life can be a couple stages, and this is the part where you can enjoy it. You had the experience.
Exactly. I have nothing else to prove.
Upon how good things are and how.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's not the end of the world. Where can people follow you on? Where do you want people to follow you to keep up on if you do a live show or announcements? Where do you want me to?
That would be on Facebook, Zinny Zan official, or Instagram, Zinny Zan official, or my personal on Facebook. I'm not out there so much anymore. It used to be, but that's where you can see it, and that's where I put out. But for me, it's Facebook, Instagram. When videos comes out, of course, that would be. I have the Zinny Zan YouTube channel as well. Haven't been working really hard with that one though. But I have someone next to me here that I feel like she's going to be a good help. So yeah.
Let me just say something about the YouTube channel to you and to any musicians that are listening. Actually, put your albums on it, because if you're getting paid for your albums, put them on your own YouTube channel, because you're streaming it off your YouTube channel. That you're helping double dip your money, because you're helping your own revenue. So put it on all your other stuff you have on your channel. It's your stuff.
Yeah.
Take some ownership and let people all have one place to go for the Zinny stuff. Put your Zan Clan. You know what I mean? So at least your fans have one spot to go to.
Yes.
Why have to go to other sources? It's you. And then as you do new stuff, live stuff, or talk to people,
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
It's a free channel that you can have your fans go to. I'm going to put the links for all this stuff underneath the show on the podcast and on YouTube, so people just click below, and go and support and subscribe. And thank you, man.
Thank you.
It's been fun. Thank you very much for being on the show. And we'll have you back.
Let's do this when the album comes out, whatever, or whenever you want me.
Right, with the sequel, the movie, either one. I'm fine. That's the way to go, right? She's read the script. But thank you for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.